Where are you at?
I'm in North Gwinnett High School in Atlanta area.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's nothing like watching your kid play baseball. It's better when your kids are really great at it.
Yeah, it's more fun when they get hits for sure. Yeah, no doubt. It's not all that fun getting up at 6:45 to make sure they're there for an hour and a half before a 9 a.m. game. But
that's the life. That's the life.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked about this before, but I was told, like, when you show up at an event, like, you don't want to make it about you, so you find a spot you can see where you're out of everyone's eyesight, or you're trying not to. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I don't have to do that as much now. I think it's further you get away from playing, the less you get recognized and the less people care that you ever played. So it's kind of nice that I just pretty much go about my business, an occasional picture or two here or there from a devoted Cardinal fan who happens to recognize that I'm sitting there watching a baseball game. So I don't have to. I really just kind of, look for the best shaded option right now here right now.
So
and go from there.
So, and I know you, so I know it's true. You never really wanted people to come up. I mean, you like the fans and everything, but you didn't want to make it about you. But I can't remember who it was, but I saw it was a former Padre who also played for the Cardinals, and I ran into him in San Diego, and not only was he wearing a Padres jersey, he was wearing his own jersey with the name. I'm not saying it was definitely him, but it was someone like Brett Tomko, someone like that. And I thought to myself, how different is that for a player wearing his own jersey when he doesn't play anymore at the ballpark? That's odd, isn't it?
That's an amazing story. I think maybe he's throwing people off. Like maybe he thinks, well, no one will surely no one will think that this is actually me if I wear my own jersey. Like they'll just be like, wow, that's a real big Brett Tomko fan. Surely Brett Tomko would not wear a Brett Tomko jersey. So it's an interesting ploy. It might be the play. I mean, if you're really trying to keep people, maybe off of your famousness.
So, Matt, are you on the same trip as you were last Monday when we talked with you for this tournament?
Ish, yeah. We were in Florida. So Ethan's got several tournaments out down in the southeast. So instead of going back to Oklahoma for a couple days here and there, we've kind of just been just out and around, just doing family stuff and watching baseball, and occasionally have an off day. We play some putt-putt and do some things. But yes, to answer your question, we have not been home since last time I talked to you.
Because I'm just thinking, obviously you played in the major leagues and your son is a stud, but for showcase type tournaments, is that the norm? Because I'm thinking, I mean, for a family to have to travel all summer like that seems like that's quite a ask for some folks.
I agree. Yes, it is, and I think that it's you have to be. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. I mean, as far as parents that work full time, and thankfully, Ethan, we're not missing jobs, or we can be out here supporting him, and financially we've been blessed enough that we can do some things maybe that other folks, are having to is a little more difficult. So it is a big ask, and I think it is an adjustment, and maybe it's like I said, like you said, it is a lot.
One of the things I think is interesting, and I think it's all right that we get into the whole parent thing, right?
Well, yeah.
But, if your kid plays sports or on one of those travel teams, one of the big things is the parents, right? Hopefully your team has a good group of parents, but then you run into a team where maybe the other parents are maybe a little too aggressive with the things they're. Have you had any issues where you're like, this probably isn't ideal for the kids? Have you experienced anything like that at that level?
Yeah, there's plenty of that to be found. Sometimes I have to just walk away, Jim. You just move a little further from the crazies, and maybe put your headphones on, or get on the phone, or do an interview on a bad show. Things like that distract me from some of the silliness that sometimes I hear said or things that I see done. But Yeah, it's an interesting culture for sure. Just like any other walk of life, you'll run across some crazies.
Be honest with us. Have you ever? Because sometimes, like, someone could be chirping your kid, or like if I'm there, like all I ever do is say, "Let's go, Billy." Like I would never say anything about the other team. If a kid's hurt, you applaud when he gets up. I never say anything. But some parents do. Have you ever been in a situation where you were almost ready to say something or confront someone, if you were being honest?
Yeah. Like I said, I usually have to walk away when I start hearing some things that I don't like, that start to, you get your blood boiling a little bit, or you start, you start sizing them up because you're a dad and they're fair game. So yeah, Jim, I'll just take a little walk. Leslie will tell me to go on down the line, or, I feel like I'm a fairly calm and hard to get too fired up, but there's some things I see and hear that get me get the blood boiling a little bit.
So my kids are only 4 and 1, so I haven't really got into anything like that because T-ball, nobody cares. But I'm wondering for you, in about the 25 or so years from when you were playing, let's say, high school baseball to now you're watching your sons play high school baseball, have the parents, is it the same? Have they gotten worse? What do you think?
I think it's probably gotten worse just because I think when there's money involved, I think there's more money spent on travel baseball and baseball in general. So I think anytime, parents feel like they're sacrificing and spending a lot of money on this, they feel it puts them even more on edge to, kind of make or yell about what they want to happen or think should happen because, they're financially invested a little bit more. So I think it's probably worse now, maybe than I remember, but you never know. I mean, I'm sure it's like I said, there's crazies everywhere. So I think it just depends maybe on the park you're at. But yeah, I think in general, parents are a little bit more feisty and loud and maybe out of bounds than they used to be.
It's very different when your kid is going to be a top draft choice and is going to be a major leaguer. So my question is for the rest of us, and I'm curious to what you say, because when Tyler started playing on the team he plays for, I was looking for like a select or travel team, if he made it, where they didn't play so many games where he would get burnt out. I know your kids love baseball, and I know if they weren't playing a game or, at a team practice, they'd probably be playing baseball. But do you think that for the rest of us, that's something to be concerned about, that these teams maybe play too many games and your kid could get burned out on a sport that he could have ended up loving throughout the rest of his life?
I do think that there's a fine line. I mean, I agree. I think there's a fine line. I think that it's good to play. If you want to get better and you want to be good at baseball, you have to play it a lot, particularly at those kind of developmental ages. But I do think that there's also the overdoing it where you're playing 70 to 100 games in a summer where you feel like these kids are every night. They could, especially when it's hot, that they could lose their love for the game and the excitement, the anticipation that kids have of wanting to play, a game that's supposed to be fun. So I think that there is sort of that finding the right amount of games to where you still can get better and practice and develop skills and keep the kids enjoying it. And then also you can't play 12 games in the summer and expect to get better. So I think it's a balancing. I think there's a happy medium in there somewhere, Jim, that us as parents are trying to find. So that's what I would say.
We're talking with Matt Holliday, brought to you by the Post Sports Bar and Grill. Stay posted, my friends, the official cheesesteak of Hot Take Central. So in between all the baseball games in the morning and the putt-putt at night, are you able to follow these Redbirds and a rough weekend, dropping 2 of 3 to the Cubs at home, and then Flaherty out after 2 innings with a dead arm?
Yeah, I've been trying to just kind of keep tabs on what's going on. Obviously, the Flaherty thing, you hope that it is just sort of that spring training type of lull that sometimes pitchers go through, where they feel like that dead arm, but it's not really anything serious. I mean, I think that's obviously the hope that I think Cardinal fans and everybody involved, with Jack would hope for. it is concerning to me. I mean, obviously, the healthy Jack Flaherty would give you a tremendous boost and increases your chance of winning the division. So I hope that it's just like what they say, a little bit of dead arm, and in 5 or 6 days he feels better and is ready to kind of get back out on the mound. I don't know if they're going to put him on the list, the injured list, or not, but that one hurts. Like I said, I just really from a competitive standpoint and a personal standpoint, you just hope that the guy can be healthy and do what he loves to do and take the mound and go out there and compete and not worry about injuries and just I know it's been a trying situation as an athlete when you can't quite get over the hump health wise, and every sort of time you think you're getting back to where you want to be, you have these setbacks. So it's rough. I feel for him and hope that this is just a little couple days of feeling better. But losing to the Cubs 2 out of 3 at home, I mean, that stings a little. I mean, anybody can beat you in Major League Baseball. But that stings, and especially in an extra inning game yesterday at home, you feel like you should pull that out. But it's what they say: on to the next. As you turn your attention, and you got to move on to the next, and keep trying to make some ground and make maybe a little separation from the Brewers. But in Major League Baseball, there's a new challenge waiting for you next day. So you just got to turn your attention to the next day.
And the Cardinals, big picture, are facing a challenge with the starting rotation. If we'll see what happens with Flaherty, some bullpen issues. But meantime, it's pretty amazing that the young guys that they brought up have all gotten traction and have all really showed that they belong in Major League Baseball. I mean, outside of like the pitching, like Palante, who's been very good. You have Gorman, you have Yepez, and you have Brendan Donovan. Of those guys, I'm talking about the position players. Do you find anyone particularly intriguing as to what he may be in the future?
Well, I think the obvious answer is Gorman. I think his natural power already at a young age is, I think you dream on the progression of him being a 40-homer, 35-40 homer second baseman, and that kind of asset of having at that position, that kind of power, I think it's what you really, you kind of think, wow, that would be, an awesome situation. But I think all of them have done well. I mean, obviously Donovan's versatility and ability to use the whole field. He doesn't strike out a lot. Like his idea of being a baseball player, I think is obviously very, I think on a team, I guess not so much now in the National League because of DH, but having a guy that can give guys days off all over the field and you move him around and he gives you good at bats. That's a huge value. And so those two, and obviously, you're waiting to see, sort of what Yepez can be as far as power goes. But it's exciting to have, these young guys that you could potentially pencil in as everyday players moving forward. And, it's exciting to think, what could possibly be with these guys.
And Matt, we talk about the trade deadline and what the Cardinals could potentially do. In recent years, they've gotten the rep of not doing a ton at the trade deadline. You can go back to 2014, big deal with John Lackey. And then as I'm thinking about that, it reminded me of 2009. And that was my second year here. And I know it didn't go as well as you guys would have liked in the postseason. But, man, that was a fun year in the sense of trade deadlines coming, and all of a sudden, you guys, they get DeRosa. They get you. Next thing you know, John Smoltz is showing up in a Cardinals uniform. Like that was a fun year of baseball.
Yeah, I mean it's always exciting to acquire some good players to give you a little boost. And if you're kind of on that edge where you feel like you're a good team, you're not quite to the level maybe that you feel could win a championship. That you need a kind of a boost here or there, whether it's starting pitching or another bat, and as you get closer, you start to look around the league at guys that could be had. It is exciting, I think, for a fan base, for a team, to get that boost of energy that trades bring. Sometimes, particularly when you don't really have to get rid of anybody off your major league team, and they use some of their minor league assets and to bring over some new guys that kind of bring a new energy. So it'll be interesting to see, especially if, a couple months, I guess we're still, probably another, month and a half away from the deadline. what the team looks like as far as, does Jack Flaherty come back, or some of these guys that what does our lineup look like? What does our rotation look like? And bullpen look like as far as what's available in this trade market? I do think it sets up for, an exciting time, and they may need that extra boost to get past the Brewers and win the division, which, in this wild card situation is a big deal.
So I apologize for going back into the discussion, but I can hear the crowd in the background and what's going on there, and that intrigues me because, when I can, I get to every one of my kids' games. So
sure.
Let me ask you this. You longtime major leaguer, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cardinal Hall of Famer, been in a million clutch situations in your career. Are you more nervous when your kid is at the plate with the game on the line than you were when you were in that same situation as a player? And is there any similarity with the emotion?
Yeah, I think you're more nervous just because there's nothing you can do about it. At least as a player, whether it's good or bad, you had some control over what happened. I think when you're a dad, you're out of, you have no control. At least in my situation, I know how important it is and how much it means to them to try to come through for their team. So it is more nerve-wracking. It is a different set of emotions and feelings when you're watching your kids play baseball, like you said, particularly in high-leverage situations when they're up to bat. And so, it's you get I think I get the butterflies or whatever you want to call them, the can't sit still feeling when it's a big spot than ever when I played.
That's like the most humbling thing because, like, I'm a 59-year-old man, and I'm like all nervous. I've done my part. I've slipped each umpire $20. Now it's out of my control, and I'm sitting there, and I'm nervous over a youth baseball game.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a strange feeling when you put it into kind of the grand perspective. I think the more, if you just take baseball out of it, I think the thing that makes us a little uneasy is the fact that we want our kid to do well so that he has, he enjoys what he's doing, and, whether that's baseball or whatever. But it is kind of strange, Jim, how old you are and that you're still getting those chills when you're watching the old coach pitch.
He's 13 now, okay?
Oh,
he's not at the level. He's not at the level of your kid.
You had the same feelings in coach pitch.
Yeah, I did.
Did you pitch? Could you actually throw strikes?
No, I never. I coach basketball. I coach his basketball team. I helped out with the baseball team, but I never coached.
Fair enough. All right, Matt. We don't want to keep you too long, but also we have a couple questions from the text line. So our guy Gio in O'Fallon says, "Are the Cardinals looking at his sons in a possible draft situation?" And so if we're talking Jackson, the Cardinals have the 22nd pick. I'm just guessing he's probably not going to be around.
He's going to be gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting there. So unfortunately for all the Cardinal faithful, I don't think Jackson's going to fall to 22 or whatever it is. So the Cardinals were too good last year, probably to get a chance to draft them.
All right, and then one more here. Then I promise you we'll let you go, unless Jim has another question about Coach
No,
Pitt.
let him go. He's watching.
Okay.
He's watching his kid.
No, the game's over. I'm fine. I'm waiting for the coach to stop talking.
All right. Ask Matt Holliday if he remembers the home run line drive he hit at Miller Park that left a dent in the batter's eye in center field. That was the hardest hit ball I ever remember him hitting. Stud ball player. I don't remember that. Do you remember that?
I don't know. I hit one really hard off Kyle Loesch off the batter's eye. I hit a few at Miller Park. So I remember most of my home runs. If he told me who the pitcher was, I would have a much more vivid memory of which one he's talking about. But I hit a few off that facade.
That's the batter's eye there, right? Guys love hitting at Milwaukee because
it's good to see, yeah. Right,
so you can see pretty well. Yeah.
And then I shouldn't even ask this, but there was always the conspiracy theory that the lights there when one team was hitting, and then all of a sudden the advertisements would be brighter or darker if the other team was hitting. You always kind of saw people talking about that on Twitter.
Yeah, it did seem fishy at times, but I don't think it ever really had an impact. I mean, it wasn't like the lighting wasn't tremendously different with the sideboards. So I don't know. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but it did seem fishy at times.
Well, right now, I'm sure you want to get to that concession stand and get the double order of nachos. So we'll let you go do that. Go stand in line with the rest of the folks.
Where's Cam this week?
Cam went golfing. He was actually on the show all the way up until you came on.
Came on? Cool.
And then he had to go do some charity par 3 tournament.
Yeah, it's legit. It's legit.
Jim, have you worked on like the ability from Boston maybe to work remotely? I know that phones are kind of new as far as being able to do like your job from remote places. Is that something that's in the works with this show or no?
Is that saying that because there was one time where I didn't know they wanted me to be on and I actually slept? I did call in, though.
Hold on, though. This was last Monday.
Yeah, Boston, right? You were in Boston?
Yeah.
The phone's not working in Boston?
Matt thinks that you should do the full show, 7 to 10 every morning on the road from your hotel when you're with the Cardinals.
Look, that technology is not it doesn't exist right now, or else I would do that.
Sure.
But I'm glad to phone in any time, and my heart is always with Hot Take Central, no matter where my job with Bally's takes me. I think everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, save that.
Let's not stir up a lot of crap here, Holliday.
Okay, my bad. All right, I'll let you guys go.
Well, thank you, sir.
Frank's probably coming on soon, right?
Frank and Andy Van Slyke probably coming in. Good luck. Good luck with putt-putt, and we'll talk with you next Monday.
Thanks, Matt.
Can't wait. Okay, see you guys.
Love it.
He's the
Matt
best.
Holliday. He is the best.
For a big tough guy to admit that he gets all queasy when his kid's in a big situation, I like that. Every parent knows that.
Yeah, I love the fact too that he's sizing up the other dad, who he could clearly body slam through a table, and he has to walk away from it. That's fantastic.
I haven't experienced much of that with baseball, a little bit. But basketball coaching, there were times the other coaches got under my skin, and I didn't say anything because I thought I'd be a bad example. Like other coaches would say stuff to our players.
See,
and I would say politely, let us talk to our kids.
That's where I was going to ask him about this. And I'm sure his kids are super nice kids and great, but the fact that they're such studs, like if they strike out in a game, there's probably kids chanting overrated.
I guarantee it.
You probably get a lot of that.
I guarantee. I didn't want to ask him, but maybe next time if his kids got targets on them because they're well known.
But they probably also never strike out. They usually hit bomb skis, which is why they might be the #1 pick in the draft.
Baseball is a game of failure, though, Charlie. That's
true.
You know that.
But in high school, like the failure in the big leagues is you hit 250. In high school, these kids are probably hitting 560 with. I just read that article from Hockman where I think the stats for Jackson was something like, I think it was 17 bombs and 80 RBIs in a high school season where, how many games you played in high school? Maybe 40?
Yeah.
I mean, those stats are probably off the chains.
My kid will have those stats, too.
Yeah, me too, hopefully. All right.